Good morning. Welcome to Southeastern 16's baseball reaction. We've got opening day in the books. Every team in the league played at least one game. Some played two. Our man Alfred Ezman is supposed to join us. He could be sleeping in after a late night in Arlington where, boy, did some craziness ever go down out there. We've got a bunch of other teams opening. Mostly a good day for the SEC. Graham, you had Kentucky split a doubleheader with Lipscomb. You had Missouri getting crushed by Penn State. And you had Texas losing a heartbreaker late. Other than that, I think everybody won. Alfred sends us a note saying he's coming. So, yes, lots going on in the world of SEC baseball, and mostly a good night, highlighted by some really interesting pitching performances. Many of those we'll dive into. We had the heartwarming / heartbreaking situation at Auburn with Cade Belyeu last night we'll get into. And we had some newcomers doing some things. What caught your eye on night one in SEC baseball?
There was a lot. So just to let everybody know, so yesterday I drove from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Oxford, Mississippi. So I didn't get a chance to put my eyes on a lot of games. I listened to the entire Ole Miss game. And then when I got home, I caught the tail end of the Texas A&M game. They were playing Elon. And then I got Texas, Louisville, was watching some of that. YouTube TV does not have MLB Network, Chris, so I could not watch the Vandy game.
Yeah.
I turn on YouTube TV. It's like, okay, where's the Vandy game? I had no idea that YouTube TV stopped carrying it like a year ago.
Yeah.
But what caught my eye, I'm going to go with Ole Miss, mostly just because of the level of competition that they played. They played a ranked team, the Arizona Wildcats, and there's just so many question marks with Ole Miss, I'd say overall. And then Hunter Elliott, I mean, your first game back in 2 years. And I mean, he was kind of up and down. He was mostly up. But when you look at his final line, I mean, I thought he looked really, really good, all things considering. And then just with the level of competition, Elliott, 5 innings against a Arizona team that can really swing it, or at least they could a season ago. So Elliott, 5 innings, 2 hits, did not allow a run, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. He threw 75 pitches. 42 of those went for strikes. So if he can do that pretty much all season long, just be that consistent and give you 5 innings where he doesn't give up a run, I mean, Ole Miss is going to have, a chance and maybe get some more wins than what people are expecting and anticipating. So that's kind of what jumped out to me just for Ole Miss, Hunter Elliott, and just picking up that big win. Because if you're Ole Miss, if you don't win that one, it just kind of feels like Ole Miss fans are going to have a football mentality and just hang on every single game this season. And if you just don't win the first one out of the gates, you just don't want it to snowball if you're an Ole Miss fan. And then Isaac Humphrey, another newcomer for Ole Miss, he went 2 for 3. He had a big home run, which ended up being the difference maker in the game. Things got interesting late in that one, but Ole Miss was able to hold on to it, and Cole Spencer certainly made things interesting. He had 3 walks, but was able to end up getting the save.
I want to table thoughts on Ole Miss for just a minute. Alfred's going to be – he texted me he's going to be joining us any minute. He was in the ballpark for that one, so I want to get his thoughts. I think he talked to Mike Bianco and maybe Hunter Elliott too afterwards. I think he did. A couple things. YouTube TV, yeah, I've got the same issue. Now, I am an MLB Network. I buy the season pass, so for to see everybody in Major League Baseball. And so I don't know if you have the app and you don't pay for that service, if you get it, but I watched the game through the app last night. I think if you go to MLB.com, you can also get it all on there. So that's your workaround for those trying to watch that game who couldn't last night. Go to MLB.com. I think you can watch today's games for free. I don't know about Sundays, or you can get it on the app. Now, if it changes, I'm going to be screwed there too. I think a lot of people may be moving away from YouTube TV anyway after the CBS fiasco. We'll see how that goes.
Well, I think
better get that rectified by March.
I think they're putting a Band-Aid on it. I think they're going to get past March Madness and then, regroup. So a
Yeah.
temporary fix.
The other thing, gosh, you mentioned something that perked my ears. Oh, I know what it was. It was we've already got Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU fans in the chat. By the way, we are going to at least mention every game, and we may not give some of them more than a mention, but we will certainly get into LSU, Arkansas, Tennessee in a little bit more depth here in a minute. So if you're watching this and we don't get to your team right away, rest assured we will get there. Alfred joins us. How much sleep did we get, my man?
Good morning. Extra innings, not a lot. I'll just say that. So it was worth it, though. But I'll say that. But yeah, they kept me up a little bit later than expected.
Yeah, well, you were in Arlington for the Texas and Ole Miss games, which were wild in two respects. Let's start with Ole Miss. Did you talk to Mike Bianco and Hunter Elliott after the game?
I did. I caught Hunter Elliott at the tail end, so not as much. Mike Bianco, I caught a good bit of. That was first of all, Hunter Elliott, that was excellent. You know what I mean? Coming off of injury like that. I mean, he's been plagued with injuries for so long, since April of 2 years ago, right? It's been quite a while, and quite a start from him. Connor Spencer, great two inning close from him that game as well. I mean, that's an Arizona lineup that's pretty potent, with Brendan Summerhill and then Mason White as well, who had a home run in that game. I talked to him a little bit about the offense, because I know it was like a game that, it didn't have offense, all over the place or anything like that. Keep an eye out for Luke Hill going forward the rest of the year, Ole Miss fans. He said that Luke Hill is probably their best hitter on that team. I don't, for some reason people don't mention that, but that's how he feels about that guy. And Isaac Humphrey, quite a debut for Ole Miss out of Louisville with a home run that game as well. So yeah, that's quite the start to the year for Ole Miss. We talked about how, they can't have this repeat year of last year of, just really getting knocked out of the SEC tournament just like that, just kind of sitting at the bottom of the conference and beating a top 25 opponent in Arizona is a great way to start that.
Yeah, well, lots of big pitching performances. Elliott's was not the most jump off the page in terms of stat line. I think he only had 3 strikeouts. You had some guys in the league, Liam Peterson, Liam Doyle, guys like that. Kate Anderson had bigger strikeout numbers elsewhere last night, also playing easier teams. But the thing to me with Elliott, like I just kind of had maybe sort of written off Ole Miss, just because when a guy misses so much time, you just don't know how it's going to go. But if Hunter Elliott is Hunter Elliott again, then we're going to be talking about this team as maybe a team that can get in a regional. We talked about how that outfield had been rebuilt. They've got a good in-game guy there, and now we'll see how it goes with their other starters who are experienced, but they're not top of the mind when we talk about SEC elite arms. Graham, I'll be very interested, because if Hunter Elliott is Hunter Elliott again and can give them, 80 or 90 quality innings this year, that's a different Ole Miss team.
It really is. And I can just tell you, Ole Miss fans are excited about the Joel Mangrum effect already.
Yeah.
Again, he's doing everything. He's making the mound visits. He's making the pitching changes. And so you got a taste of that pretty early, right out of the gates for Ole Miss fans. I know they're kind of hoping history repeats itself. The last time Ole Miss played in this event was 2021. Ole Miss won all 3 games. They beat number 10 TCU, number 3 Texas Tech, and number 9 Texas in 2021, and made it all the way to the Super Regionals that year, and lost to a Jay Johnson Arizona Wildcat team in Tucson. So kind of Ole Miss, for whatever reason, has had success at Globe Life.
Anything else on Ole Miss, Alfred? Or I know we'll need to talk Texas Louisville, because that was a crazy one. You blink and that one flips in a hurry.
Yeah, that one was nuts. But as for Ole Miss, that they have an SEC opponent tonight, so that should be an even better look at this team, quite honestly. But yeah, same thing with Texas. I mean, they'll play Ole Miss too and look to bounce back. So I guess we could just hop into that game.
Yeah. By the way, how warm did you stay yesterday in Arlington?
Time wise, it's probably
no. I said how warm, temperature wise.
How warm? I'm sorry. So yeah, still got to wake up. It's probably, I think it was 7 when I checked.
Yeah.
right when I woke up. So yeah, it's still freezing. Good Texas weather that everyone knows.
Nice. Well, let's talk about Texas because the Longhorns had it last night until they didn't. The bullpen blew it, which was surprising. I thought that was the strength of their pitching staff. I know Spencer gave them a really strong start, and then it just kind of fell apart at the end.
Yeah, definitely. I talked to Schlossnagle after that too, and he brought up a good point. They were up for 2-0 for probably 80% of that game, maybe 85, 90% of that game. They never really could pull away from this Louisville team, and I think that caught up to them. It did catch up to them in the end. A lot of that was just, he said, poor at bats that Texas had. And I mean, you look at Patrick Forbes's stat line for Louisville, 11 strikeouts in 5 innings. I mean, the strikeouts for him were all over the place, and he had a great start like Spencer did. So, I mean, I think with Texas, I think they just need to be more patient in their at bats. You had, Max Belyeu obviously led the way for them. That's going to be a common theme this year. 2 hits. He had a run on the Max Gasparino home run, which when that happened, it seemed like, hey, Texas is about to, kind of lay down the hammer on this Louisville team. But no, Louisville stuck with it. Even when Texas in extra innings got that home run from Adrian Rodriguez, they stuck with it even more. You had Zion Rose with a big hit. He's a really good player for Louisville. And then Lucas Moore eventually just walked it off. They had Duplantier in there trying to kind of put out the fire that Louisville had, and he hit a batter. I mean, there was a passed ball that advanced 2 runners. He loaded the bases. And at that point, they were on their heels. So it was tough for Texas. I mean, I think the fact that it was 2-0 for so long in that game kind of just kept McDonald's team around too much, and they took advantage of it. So I think they're going to bounce back. I mean, the weird part is the stuff that I don't think was as bad was the pitching. I mean, they held Louisville down forever. So for me, it was just offensively, they couldn't get anything going, past 2-0. And that was the issue.
Yeah. Anything else from Arlington of note? Texas Ole Miss will be interesting today. That does not count as a conference game. I think most people know. We get a few of these every year. We get the Ole Miss Mississippi State. So that'll be well. Ole Miss will be playing 2 SEC teams, I think, and out of conference games that won't count as conference games in regular season. That'll be interesting. We don't see that much. Anything else on those two before we move on? Because I've got one I definitely want to hit next, and we're going to hit all of them.
I think we're good. I think we're just excited for tonight. So we'll go over that one too when we do our next show.
What time do you head to the ballpark today?
I think I'll do 9:45, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some time.
We'll get you out on time. Graham and I can carry it after you're done.
Gotcha.
Auburn. Sometimes the other stuff transcends the baseball itself. And so while this was not the most important game in terms of the baseball implications, what a story in Auburn. Cade Belyeu, his mother dies from cancer earlier in the day. I don't know how he did it. He not only played, he had a home run. Mike, I don't have words for it otherwise. What a moment in Auburn, Graham.
Yeah, just a really, really cool story, and with Cade Belyeu and that whole family situation. Shout out to my guy Wiley Ballard with a call. I thought he nailed that his play-by-play description of the call. If you're Auburn, Cade Fisher, one of the new faces, 3 1/3, did not allow a hit, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. Only threw 53 pitches though, 30 went for strikes. Kind of gives you an idea of what he was working with. I just think if you're Auburn, just off to a good start, beating Holy Cross 3-1. There were a lot of people at that game. Did y'all see some of the shots of the
left field?
Yeah.
New seating. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that's going to be a new cool wrinkle there at Plainsman Park. But again, Cade Belyeu, what a story. Be something that he'll remember for the rest of his life. He also had another hit after that. And then another new face for Auburn, Eric Snow, the South Florida transfer. He had 2 hits. He drove in 2 as well. So good start for Auburn, and one of the coolest stories that you'll see of the year with Cade Belyeu.
Alfred, you probably didn't get to catch any of that one with where you were.
Well, no, I mean most of the game. No, I saw the Cade Belyeu hit, and yeah, I mean you love moments like that, and to get one on opening day is just so kind of special. I think I don't, this is a guy who no one really, I don't think, expected to get time in, and especially in a game against Holy Cross where it was kind of close. But regardless, I mean, who cares, right? Like this was just a really cool moment. Hopefully we get more stuff like that going forward. God bless Cade for him and his family, and all that stuff he's gone through. I'm really happy and ecstatic for him for what happened last night, and good win for Auburn. And hopefully, that little moment implicates pretty good fortunes for them this season, especially after last year.
Yeah, prayers for Cade Belyeu and his family. Heartbreaking situation. I'm fortunate that I've got both my parents still with me. Can't imagine losing one in college the way he did and playing through it, but he did. The bullpen was good. We had highlighted that as a potential area of strength for Auburn, just with all the guys coming back. That's how it played out. Cam Tilly and Carson Myers go 2 2/3 and 3 scoreless respectively. Tilly gets the win, Myers the save. They strike out 2 and 3 respectively, so Auburn moves to 1-0. Next one on my list of games to talk about, let's go to the defending national champs because we'll give them the respect they're due here. That was a grinder of a game for Texas A&M. Didn't take the lead till the late innings. Ryan Prager was exactly what you would expect Ryan Prager to be. The offense really never got going. A&M scored 2 of its runs on bases loaded walks, which that's kind of what A&M does. Like if the pitch is a quarter inch off the plate, that lineup has a knack for taking it. We saw them do that in postseason a year ago. Another run scored on a wild pitch. Sometimes it's just taking advantage of what you were given. And Elon, by the way, has had some good talent. George Kirby went there, and they put out some really good teams before. So this is not a pushover an opponent, historically speaking. But I guess Prager was the difference. They got the runs. They hold on at the end. Any takeaways from Texas A&M, gentlemen?
I guess I'll start. I don't maybe it's we kind of joked about it yesterday, and a lot of A&M fans were saying it online. Maybe it's the weather, but quite literally it could be the weather. College Station is Texas is big, but I'm in Texas, where this game was, and it's cold. So I don't know. Maybe it's just this weather was a shock to these guys. I know it's kind of silly, but I feel like that's a fair point. I mean, we all know that Texas A&M pretty much 99 times, if not 100 times out of 100 are going to beat Elon in baseball. That's no disrespect to Elon, but that's just the kind of players that A&M has and the nature of this game. And eventually, I mean, you saw it. I mean, it wore them down. You had Blake Binder up, get some good hits in to score runs, and you had different other guys do that as well. So I don't expect this is not going to be something common with A&M. And again, we're talking on opening day. We've seen one game from all these teams. So I don't know. I mean, maybe if this keeps happening throughout the weekend, it could affect A&M in our power rankings. I'll say that, but it doesn't change a whole lot right now how I think of them as a team. We'll see how they do today, and I have a feeling we'll see a lot better than what we saw yesterday with Michael Early's team.
Yeah, so I did catch this game. I watched the last 2 innings and cut it on and immediately was like, did they shoot fireworks? It was so foggy.
Yeah, it was.
Kind of a hard watch to see what was going on, and boy, it looked cold. They had a packed house, though. Bluebell was definitely packed. My main takeaways, everybody was anticipating, a lot of hits, a lot of offense from Texas A&M. They only had 5 hits. I know Elon is a good program, and we still got a long way to go. Ryan Prager looked good, 5 innings, no runs. He had 8 strikeouts. He threw 84 pitches. To me, what kind of stood out at the end there was Fresh Corn. I thought his stuff was electric when he was in late. I mean, he was touching high 90s with these. I did see after the game, Coach Early was just talking about offensive approach and just how he still feels really good about his lineup. And you win some of these games. You win games sometimes where you only have 5 hits as opposed to 10 or 11. So again, no need to panic. Texas A&M still just boatloads of talent, long way to go. And I'm sure the weather did have something to do with it. You get so fired up and ready for the first game of the season, and then you go out there and it's 20 degrees and there's fog everywhere, and just the conditions are not ideal. So I think A&M will be fine. But again, we got a long way to go.
Yeah, I did not have the volume on that game. I had the volume on another one, but I was watching, and I wondered the same thing. Like, did an ammunition factory go off in the background or something from all the smoke? But I think that was just fog, which will keep balls in the yard. The fresh corn angle was interesting. There wasn't a lot out there on Mike Early talking with the media about his team this year. I did look around, and those were some places where roles I wasn't sure how they would settle. They've got him and Grant Cunningham, who was kind of that Nate Snead type closer for Washington a year ago, a guy who could be used as a starter like Tennessee, I think, is going to use Snead this year, or they could use him as a back-end guy. Freshcorn was a JUCO kid at McLennan, which is one of the better baseball factories on the JUCO rank, and he was electric at that level a year ago. So to see him be their short burst closer last night was very interesting. But yeah, I have a feeling that the dampness might have had something to do with the conditions last night, and heck, maybe even the wild pitch and some stuff like that had a hand in the outcome of the game. All right, next one up on my list, guys. Arkansas takes a doubleheader from Washington State. First one goes extra innings. I think the tying run might have scored on a wild pitch. We can commence the Arkansas offense jokes after game one because that's where the internet was going and Twitter was going. They explode for 13, 14 runs, whatever it was in game 14 runs in game two. Brett Iredale, a guy that we had circled is a player to watch, had I think 4 or 5 hits in the doubleheader yesterday, knocked in a bunch of runs. I think he could be as good as this league is. An all-conference, first-team all-conference type hitter. But yeah, look, all the hitting jokes aside, and it looked like it was freezing cold in that ballpark. I watched a lot of those games. It was kind of what we expected. Gabe Gackle was great in the first start, 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, no runs. East Carolina transfer Zach Root in game 2 was terrific. 5 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. I don't know how much you guys got to watch, but I'll get your takeaways here.
Yeah, I got the first game, the one that was probably not the one Arkansas fans liked a whole lot. And yeah, Iredale had the game-winning play of that sac fly to score a run. So great stuff there from him. Gabe Gackle, I think, is going to be one of the best Friday night guys, I think, in this league. I think he showed that. What was it, 7 strikeouts yesterday? Is that right, Chris?
7 or 8.
7 or 8 strikeouts for him last night. He gave up 1 hit, that I do know. So great stuff there from him. Yeah, and look, Texas A&M had, we just talked about it. They had a similar kind of, it shouldn't have been that close game like Arkansas did. So, teams are going to have this, but we're not going to sit here and act like Texas A&M and Arkansas aren't, top 10 teams in college baseball at the very least. So I think it's good. It's good that Arkansas got 2 wins in a doubleheader on the same day. You kind of like that to start the year. We had a few teams that had doubleheaders, so them being the ones to get that done is really nice. And yeah, I'm excited for Brent Iredale. I think that's a guy people are going to find out a lot more about as the season goes on. He was an MVP type of player in JUCO in New Mexico. Really good prospect from Australia. I've looked into preseason wise. So. Great stuff. Great stuff from Iredale, Arkansas, and any doubts people had after that first game were erased by a 14-2 win the next game. So it's a good way to bounce back with a game on the very same day.
Yeah, somebody that was in Fayetteville yesterday, I can attest it was definitely freezing and cold, and props to you if you were in the stands for the doubleheader for that one. So just to tell the 2 different games, they only had 6 hits, all singles in game 1, just winning the nail biter in 10 innings. Pitching, we know the pitching is going to be great with Arkansas. Gackle looked really good, like y'all touched on. Zach Root as well. picked up the win in his 5 innings. He had 8 strikeouts, only threw 75 pitches. You know how over the years some of these teams have the story that you turn on the game and they're going to hit on that focal point. Like for A&M, it's Kent. His dad is Jeff Kent. When Kramer when Kramer was at LSU, his mom is Kim Mulkey. So Iredell, just so everybody knows, get ready.
He's not from here.
He's the first Australian student athlete that Arkansas has ever had. So every Arkansas game you're going to watch, that's the thing this year. But he was great. So he's definitely going to be one to watch. And Aloy, we need to shout out Aloy as well. He had a big game too for the Razorbacks.
Well, there's 2 Aloys. You gotta clarify here, my man.
Kahio Aloy. He went 2 for 4. He had a double and a home run.
He has one of the best bio notes. I don't know if this is true or somebody just slipped it in. There's a joke and nobody caught it. But his Arkansas bio says he can hit a golf ball 400 yards.
Is that real?
I wasn't sure that was possible, guys. What's he doing playing baseball? I mean, we get Happy Gilmore.
Long drive champ.
Right.
That's awesome.
Have you seen the video of Mike Trout at Topgolf where he just hits the ball in a different universe?
No.
He's like one of those guys.
Is Aloy doing that with him too?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm just putting that out there.
The
way,
now we have 2 notes on Arkansas. They have their first Australian and a guy who can hit golf ball 400 yards on one team. If that doesn't tell you that something great's going to happen with Arkansas this year, I don't know what does.
And 3 guys from Hawaii. Yeah, they're like the geography bee champs here. But by the way, I keep seeing references to somebody calling Texas A&M the defending champs. I don't know if that was me. If somebody said that in the chat, we know A&M is not the defending. Did I say that?
I think you said defending champs, and that's what I thought we were about to talk about Tennessee, and then A&M brought up. So the national runner-up. How about that?
The national runner-up. We are fully aware. Sometimes the lips say things that the brain knows are not true. Which I'm gonna clip this and save this for my wife as evidence that it's not just her. Yeah, I mean the preseason number 1. How about that? That's where we were trying to go. Anyway, my apologies. We know Tennessee is the defending national champ, and that A&M is the preseason number 1. So just going to clear that up. Yeah, a couple of interesting things with this one too. Aiden Jimenez threw. I was not sure what the role was going to be there. I think he missed all last year at Oregon State. He's a big part of what they do. I mean, he would be a big part, I think, what most teams do with that staff. Who knows? They've got so many guys fighting for innings. Tate McGuire, who was a big arm for them, threw a scoreless inning yesterday. I mean, he's probably 15th or 16th on their list of pitchers, I would guess, but was a big-time player. The pitching is just ridiculous, as we knew. So those were a couple other things that caught my mind. I'm going to go here. We don't have a lot of other games of SEC teams on teams that might actually make a regional. The next one we're going to talk about might be the last one. And then again, we're going to get to all the other ones. But Vanderbilt beating Grand Canyon last night in Grand Canyon's ballpark. Vanderbilt had a 4-0 lead early, nearly blew it. They brought in freshman Matthew Sorey, who got hit hard quickly. The back end of their bullpen was terrific. Sawyer Hawks, who was going to be their closer a year ago, till he got hurt, looked like what they thought they were getting a year ago. What is it they are for some pitchers, guys? That's where Vanderbilt got him. Of course, LSU got a guy from there a couple years back that you might have heard of. But that was kind of what stood out. The hitting coach, they got a new hitting coach. I thought their approach at the plate was better. Alfred, I think you were watching Texas while that happened, so I might have been the only one with eyes on that game.
I watched it too. I had it both on. Yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff for me, JD Thompson was pretty good. I mean that's and I think it's we kind of know that's going to happen with him this year. 4 2/3, 6 strikeouts, only 1 walk and 3 hits. I mean it was kind of it just Vanderbilt popped ahead early, and then Grand Canyon. They sort of kind of inched their way back in it with a good 6, but great stuff in the back end from Miller Green. I'm sure Vanderbilt fans love seeing that out of him. He's going to be probably one of the top relievers to look at in this league. I know I had him at least on my personal top or on my personal all SEC list for relief pitchers. He was there. So, you got to love to see that out of him. RJ Austin with a good RBI. He had 3 hits today. He's probably out of all the Vanderbilt players. I love watching him play. I've gotten quotes from Tim Corbin talking about him as a throwback player, which I'm sure Tim Corbin loves. And, you got the big players out of Vandy. I think you wanted to play a big game, and it just so happened a good ending from Grand Canyon made it close. But you take away the scoreboard, I think you strictly kind of like what you saw from Vanderbilt yesterday.
Yeah, Chris, you touched on the new hitting coach. Vandy, they finished with 10 hits, but 7 of those were from the top 3 hitters in the lineup. So they're going to have to get more production in the back half of that lineup. But they're playing a pretty good Grand Canyon team. They just did what they needed to do. They were able to hold on late. And I think if you're a Vandy fan, the Hawks outing has to please you. The 3 innings in relief, had 5 strikeouts, didn't walk anybody, picked up the win. So that was a bright spot for sure for Vandy.
Yeah, the breaking ball from Hawks last night was pretty electric. Speaking of electric, the kid for Grand Canyon, whose name escapes me, threw a complete game no-hitter last year. They brought him in relief. And Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt could not touch his changeup. That was an elite pitch. I think they said it was a 47% strikeout pitch for him last year, which is just absurd. So that was a game where the pitching in most of the spots was pretty good. Grand Canyon's starter, oh gosh, I've forgotten who it was. His dad was a major league pitcher for a while too. I'll remember it if you say it, but in any case. Yeah, I think another thing with Vandy last night, what's that?
Lyon.
Yeah, Brandon Lyon, his dad, pitched for a while in the majors. But Vanderbilt had 2 of arguably its 4 best hitters out last night with hand injuries. I think they're going to be back before SEC play, but that caused a little bit of a lineup shuffle. Chris Maldonado moved from first to third, which is where Brody Johnson would start. And then Jaden Davis, who was Vandy's second baseman a year ago, was manning second with Mike Mancini out. That'll be interesting because now Riley Nelson got a chance to play for them, JUCO kid who lit it up in a Wood Bat League last year. He looked pretty good at first, defensively too. So, yeah, those were some things to watch. Vandy, Nebraska today will be the one to watch too because Nebraska was, I think, preseason number 24 according to D1. Let's see, next on the list here, I guess I'm doing these generally in order of preseason rankings because all these games that were left were mostly mismatches. Kentucky Lipscomb maybe not quite as much, but I'm just going to go Tennessee next. What stood out to me, Liam Doyle was electric. I didn't see a lot of that game, but like every 4-seamer he threw seemed like it was 98, 99 and unhittable. He went, 11 strikeouts over 5 innings. They got home runs from Dean Curley, Andrew Fisher, and big shout out to Hunter High. He got, I think, the first home run of his career. His father and I have been friends for longer than Hunter has been alive. Great family. Want to give them a shout out because I was very happy for that family. He's got a brother who's a closer at Tennessee Tech, by the way. So baseball runs in that family. Alfred, start with you. I don't know if you got to see the Vols play much yesterday, but if you did, what stood out?
Yeah, well, first of all, you hit the nail on the head with the home runs. Get ready to see that again. I mean, you got 3 in game 1 from Tennessee, so expect that going forward. I feel really good about it. About a Dean Curley 25 home runs, maybe gets close to touching 30 home runs. Maybe it's a little bold, but I think out of anyone in that lineup that lost a lot of guys like Christian Moore, Blake Burke, he's the one to kind of fill that hole and do that. A guy Tennessee fans have raved about is Stone Lawless. He had a big knock today to score some runs in the 6th inning. I expect a lot of good stuff from him. He's a guy who just really hasn't played yet because Tennessee's been so deep since he's gotten there. So great stuff from him. And yeah, talk about a great debut. Liam Doyle. That was really the major thing, despite the home runs and offense. 5 innings, 11 strikeouts, just 1 hit. Even Tanner Franklin was a transfer from Kennesaw State. I loved who I thought was going to be a good reliever for them. Came out of the bullpen and really shut things down. 4 strikeouts and closed out the game with the final 2 innings. So all around great game from Tennessee. I know Vol fans aren't a fan of the uniform change. Can't say that I am either. That was a pretty big topic yesterday for their home white uniforms. But despite that, the play seemingly hasn't gone away for them. So ecstatic for Tennessee. I think they're due for another good year. How far they go remains to be seen because it's Hofstra in game 1. But again, I don't think you could have asked for much more than what you saw yesterday out of them.
So, Alfred, as our fresh new Tennessee grad, what's your favorite uniform for the Vols?
Oh, I think it's the cream ones with the scripts.
Yes,
you guys know what I'm talking
absolutely. Yeah, I did not notice that. I don't know why. That is a classic look. The cream ones with the not the white ones, but the cream with the Vols script. That's one of the best looks in the league. I don't know why you would go away from that.
Right. The favorite hat is the black one with the interlocking UNC. That's my favorite hat that they got. But for me, that cream is I don't know if it's the best in the SEC. It's up there. It's up there with the best.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a big topic yesterday. Was the uniform? It was they put the T on the chest on the breast right here, and they changed it up. It used to say Tennessee across the front, and you get Christian Moore doing this little number. Now it's now he can't do that because the logo's on the side. So that was the biggest thing. And it was probably because their fans were a little bored after, the 6th inning that had 7 runs in it. So,
my main takeaways, they just look like we expect Tennessee to look. They just crushed this game, no doubt about it. 13 total hits. Alfred touched on the 3 home runs. The 2 Ole Miss transfers made an immediate impact. Fisher with a home run, and then Doyle, those 11 strikeouts. That's a career high for him, by the way. So in his first outing as a Tennessee Vol, he finishes with 11 strikeouts. Didn't walk anybody. And, guys, he only threw 58 pitches. 42 went for strikes. So that tells me that he was in control all day long.
That's almost impossible to throw 58 pitches and strike out 11 guys.
I know. Like that's so hard.
Like do the math. Yeah. Yeah. Tanner Franklin, Kennesaw State transfer was pretty good for them in relief too, for whatever it's worth. It's Hofstra. But next one, Alfred, I think you got to get out of here. LSU 14, Purdue Fort Wayne, nothing. The big thing that stood out to me, Cade Anderson, who was a first. Cade Anderson could go in the first round this year. The production, he's not pitched a lot of college baseball, but he's a name that people know. Pro scouts certainly know. He goes 5, strikes out 8. Daniel Dickinson, the Utah Valley transfer, 3 hits, knocks in 5. That was kind of an overmatched situation that got out of hand early, so I don't know what we take away. But Alfred, I'll let you go first so we can get you out of here and headed towards the ballpark.
Yeah. Did anyone? I know I did. Did you two have Dickinson in your all SEC stuff or not?
Yes.
Where did we put him in the preview?
Chris
I had him. They were ours, but I'm the one that didn't.
Right.
I had him first team all SEC preseason second baseman ahead of Hensler at A&M, and Gavin Kylan was in there too. It's a really good second base year.
Yes, and I think he has a chance to be the best. I mean, you saw it yesterday. I know it's Purdue Fort Wayne. We can say that about all these games yesterday, outside of really the 2 teams that are here in Arlington. But with LSU, I mean, you got what you needed out of Daniel Dickinson. I don't know if you can get that every game, but you're going to see that a lot. You're going to see a lot of games like that out of him. You saw multiple hits from Derek Curiel, really good freshman, part of that ridiculous freshman class that about such Schlossnagel, Jay Johnson got. That would not have gone over well. Johnson. It was a really good freshman class for Jay Johnson. Curiel was a part of that. He had 2 hits yesterday. Jared Jones, pretty good day, 2 runs. He contributed on the offense, 2 RBIs for him as well. Offense all over the place for this LSU team. I mean, they did really well. The pitching shut it down too. You got a great start out of Cade Anderson, 8 strikeouts, I believe, for him. I think he only walked 1 guy too, so he really didn't give Fort Wayne a lot of opportunities to get on base. Kason Evans got a pretty good relief outing. Cooper Williams really shut things down in the last inning with 3 strikeouts in 1 inning. So, I mean, kind of like Tennessee, that this was just an all-around great game for this LSU team. And you really there's nothing really that went totally wrong for them, I don't think, throughout, unless you guys have something on that.
No, not anything wrong. But my main takeaway for LSU for this is their bullpen. Their bullpen did not allow a base hit, and they had 9 total strikeouts.
Yeah.
That'll play.
that will play.
Similar type game, Alfred. I'll let you hit on this one on the way out, or you can skip if you need to get to your car and head to the ballpark. But Mississippi State routed Manhattan 17-3. Big takeaway for me was Pico Cone, who's going to take on a much bigger role. Strikes out 11 over 5 scoreless. That was a thing that you wanted to see. Ace Reese hit a home run in his debut in Starkville. State had questions about the lineup. But they get the scoring record in the league for yesterday. So there's that. What do we find notable from this one?
Yeah, before I head out, I'll just say this. I said it yesterday about State. Obviously, I think that the 2 big returners on the team are Hunter Hines and Bryce Chance. I think a lot of focus goes to Hunter Hines because of the power he has. Bryce Chance had a great game yesterday. I know Lamonis post-game, I saw in a post, shouted him out for his game. I think he went 3 for 4. Yesterday. He is really going to be a game changer for that team if you can continue to see stuff like that from him. So that was the thing that stood out to me, was just the great play from Bryce Chance. And hopefully we see more of that, because if you see more of that out of him, Mississippi State can really win a lot of games this year and find themselves, on a much better path to go far to their desire, in the NCAA tournament. So really the main takeaway for me is just kind of what Bryce Chance did.
Yeah, for me, just total domination for Mississippi State. They had 26 total hits in the doubleheader. They had 7 doubles and 4 home runs. And when you look at the pitching wise, they had 27 total strikeouts. They only walked 3 all day. So their pitching was phenomenal. Aaron Downs had 7 total RBIs in the doubleheader. You touched on Chance, but the storyline, Mississippi State, to me, all season long, they lost a lot of their top arms from a season ago. So they got Pico, 69 pitches, 54 strikes, struck out 11. He looked really, really good. And then Carson, 4 innings, had 8 strikeouts. So really, really good start. A lot to be pleased about if you're a Mississippi State fan.
Yeah, good point on Ligon in game 2. He was a really good pitcher at Miami. I think was hurt most of last year, at least half of it. Didn't really do much. To see him give them 8 strikeouts over 4 innings. We talked about how much they had to replace in their rotation. But if you get the kind of outings, and look, it's Manhattan. But if you get really good performances from Ligon and Cone throughout the year, that it's going to look a lot different than it did. Alfred, we'll let you get out of here. We'll carry on without you, but we'll look forward to talking to you tonight or tomorrow whenever we do it. There might even be Monday. I'm not sure what our schedule is going to be like between basketball and baseball and visits from in-laws in my house. But in any case, we will talk about it at some point. Be safe. Good luck on your trip to the ballpark and stay warm.
Yes, sir. Will do. Big SEC Sports Day, basketball and baseball, and I can't wait for it. So talk to you guys when we meet next.
All right.
See ya.
Graham, next up, we'll go. How about Kentucky splitting a doubleheader with Lipscomb? Cats looked really good in game 1. Cole Hage, we shouted him out. I think we put him second or third team preseason all SEC. I'll have to check my notes here. Third. But he was a kid that at Columbia was really, really good. Played left for them yesterday and had a big offensive day. Lipscomb is not a pushover. That doubleheader was at Lipscomb. Mm-hmm. Quality team that makes the NCAA tournament every 3 or 4 years. Little disappointing. You wanted to see Kentucky finish off game 2, but what stands out with you on the Cats from yesterday?
Two totally different games. The bats came to play for game 1 for Kentucky. They had 13 hits in game 1 and that 11-0 win. Game 2, they just got off to a rocky start. They gave up all 3 runs in the first inning in Game 2 and just couldn't quite get over that hump. You touched on Cole Hage, 4 for 5 in Game 1. He had a home run, drove in 3. He had 5 total hits for the day, so he was certainly a bright spot for Kentucky. Again, this is just going to happen. You're going on the road to open the season. I mean, you're not going to win every single game. So I'll be curious to see what they bounce back and look like the rest of the weekend. And remember, they go back to Nashville next weekend. They're at Belmont next weekend.
Yeah, Ben Cleaver struggled for them in Game 2. He's a local Nashville kid that they have big hopes for. Didn't work out. Nick McKay in Game 1, who was the class of 2018 kid from South Dakota State, did kind of what we thought he'd do. He's not an overpowering guy, but you don't necessarily get great swings off him. He goes 5 scoreless with 4 strikeouts. So Kentucky splits a doubleheader with Lipscomb and Nick Mingione again, sort of. And I don't say this disparagingly, but they kind of know what they're doing with the RPI and playing some teams like that on the road where everybody else is playing, a 300 RPI team at home. Those are things that kind of matter at the end of the year. So anyway, here's one that stood out. Liam Peterson last night for Florida strikes out 11 over 6 innings. He's a guy that could be a top 5 overall pick in 2026. Florida's always going to get power. Brody Done hits a home run. Florida kind of a ho-hum 7-0 shutout of Air Force. But I think the nothing is the thing that stands out because our question is, can this staff throw enough strikeouts or throw enough innings without, walking everybody? And I think the way the pitching started for them last night with Peterson was super encouraging.
But not just him. I mean, overall, they had 16 total strikeouts. They had 2 walks, and they only gave up 3 hits. So, I mean, just everything on the mound was working yesterday for Florida. But, yeah, like you said, it all starts with Liam Peterson. He was lights out in his 6 innings.
Yeah. Let's see. Who closed for them? Or Jackson Barberi through the last inning. He's a star freshman. Cade McDonald, I don't think we talked anything about him. Preseason gave them 2 scoreless. To me, if Florida's pitching is there, because last year that was a really raw bunch. It was talented, but, man, they gave up a lot of runners. And they had to take some big steps up, I think, to get where the preseason prognostications have the Gators. If Peterson pitches like that, I think they get there. So McDonald was a kid last year that was on the roster, didn't play, and was a fairly highly regarded kid out of high school, not elite level Florida like they've got at some other spots. But anyway, Florida shuts out Air Force. Georgia beats Quinnipiac. I think that game was in Asheville. Am I correct?
Wilmington,
excuse me. I think Zach Harris, Paul Farley go combined 4 hits, 6 strikeouts. They give up 1 run. Devin Obie was great for them, the Duke transfer in the outfield. I don't know what we take away from that, but Harris was a guy we talked about before the season. Farley was a guy I don't think we dwelled much on him. He didn't pitch at all. He didn't pitch at all last year, and he was awesome yesterday. Yeah. I'm not sure where they got him from. I guess he was a 2023 recruit, looking at my notes.
Yeah, he redshirted last year.
I mean, we talk about how many arms they have, and I've kind of got a sheet where I list them all, and, I mean, there's so many of them. I probably had him down, I don't know, after 15 or 20 other guys. I just didn't expect that to be a role, but as we talked about, they've got so much depth. 1 to 40, I don't think any team is deeper than Georgia. Like, I was looking at their roster a couple of weeks ago. I think they still had 46, 47, 48 guys listed. They hadn't cut theirs down to 40 yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's it say to you that, like, game 1, day 1, he's the first arm out of the bullpen, a redshirt freshman that didn't pitch at all last year?
Yeah, well, it says to me that I thought they could be scary. I thought they could be a sleeper, maybe title contender. I don't know that they've got the superstar power outside Phelps that the rest of the league has, but I don't know that people are talking about Finley and Colton Smith and Charlie Goldstein enough, because if those guys are healthy, and Goldstein never stays healthy, That's a top half of the league rotation pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then they got Curley and Zeldin and Alton Davis. They got arms out of their ears, coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
And so now we're talking about a guy that we didn't even talk about, gives him 5 scoreless. Yeah, I mean, look, you remember how Mississippi State won it a couple of years ago. Now they had Landon Sims and they had Bednar. Those guys were studs. Both maybe major league pitchers. I don't know how Sims has done in the minors. Bednar, I think, has been more on the radar. But look, if you're getting arms we're not even talking about, boy, we talked about a lot of their arms. They're giving them 5 scoreless. I don't care who it's against. You're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, this game, Chris, it has a weird stat line. Georgia, they only had 4 hits. They were all extra base hits, and they put up 9 runs, and Quinnipiac did not have an error. Like that's kind of hard to do, but again, just kind of a weird line what they did. Not a ton of offense, but they made the most of it. But to me, the story of this game is the redshirt freshman Paul Farley. Just first career outing, 74 pitches, only gave up 1 hit and 5 innings of relief.
I'm checking park factors. Action Network, and I don't know when this was last updated. Park factors are really hard to do for college baseball. That's got a 0.85, which means runs typically score 15% less than they do at a typical park. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know what the dynamics are. If it's a park where the wind blows in, that's a coastal city. Maybe it being damp holds offense down. I don't know what the deal is, but just wanted to look that up to see because with Georgia last year was an offensive explosion every time those guys played, just about.
Yeah.
So here's another thing: home runs were down across the board yesterday. I don't know if you noticed, but Tennessee got 3, Oklahoma, we'll get to them in, got 3. One of those was inside the park. I don't know if it was a weather thing.
I think it's weather.
Might be. I wonder if the balls have been changed too. I mean, we talked a lot about the bats last year. The balls, what I'm hearing, the balls were juiced too. So you see this happen in Major League Baseball sometimes. They'll change the composition of the balls and they won't tell anybody. And then they get really defensive when anybody starts digging into it. Which I don't really understand. Just say the ball's changed. Offense was getting out of control. I don't know why that's a state secret. I don't know if the NCAA has done something different here too, but that's kind of something in the back of my head. I'm watching. I'm like, we're not, and these are the kind of games where, maybe unless it's 30 degrees, and even sometimes when it is, the pitching you face is so bad, and you're so overmatched against an LSU or an A&M that the ball just leaves the yard. I'm very interested to see what that's going to look like the next couple of weeks. Because if home runs are way down, then we've got a talking point of some sort.
That, and I didn't really see any chatter about, the inspections with pitchers and their hands or the double bag at first base. I didn't see a lot of complaining about any of that stuff yesterday.
I like the double bag at first. If it keeps somebody from getting hurt, I mean, you've seen careers change with collisions on the bases at the Major League Baseball level. So I'm a fan of that one. We had one conversation off the record. I know we remember with one coach about or maybe a couple about the substance policies and just some things that could kind of go wrong with that unintended wise. But anyway, it'll be interesting.
The way Max Scherzer feels about it, I just think you're going to see a lot of that as the season goes on in college.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we got left? We have not hit
Alabama,
South Carolina, Alabama, Oklahoma, Missouri. South Carolina, I think the thing to me, they beat Sacred Heart 5-3. Dylan Eskew out the gate was pretty good. 5 innings, 1 run. Ethan Petrie homered. No surprise there. If you missed it, Eli Jersenbeck not throwing for we don't know how long. He would have been – when we talked to Paul Maneri, he made it pretty clear Jersenbeck was going to be his Friday night guy and was excited. I don't know what happened between that conversation and this week. But at any time I hear a lot of uncertainty with timelines and not a lot of talk about what's going on, that that sends up red flags. I hope I'm wrong. Hope he's just out a couple weeks. It's nothing big. But the kid didn't throw last year. Clearly their best pitcher. Now, I think they got some other guys, SQ being one of them. So to see him step up and throw like that's encouraging.
Yeah, it really is. 9 strikeouts. He didn't walk anybody on 74 pitches. Their stud player, Ethan Petrie, you touched on it. He hit the home run. I mean, just game one, new head coach, new era, just a positive start for South Carolina. Might not have been the prettiest. They might not have won by, 8, 9 runs or whatever, but a win is a win, and 5-3 win to kick off the season against Sacred Heart.
Let's see. We've got Alabama beats Bradley 10-6. That game got a little dicey early. Justin LeBron doing what he does. 2 hits, drives in 5. The 6 runs Alabama gives up. You would have liked to seen a little better than that. But what did you take away from this one?
Offensively, Justin LeBron, 2 doubles. He had 5 RBIs yesterday. But to me, it just kind of felt like Alabama and Coach Vaughn, they were trying to see what they have to work with on the mound. They threw 8 different pitchers yesterday. Zane Adams got the start, just kind of up and down, 4 innings, 5 hits, did not have a strikeout. He walked 2. And then after him, it was just, like pitcher after pitcher, almost a new pitcher every half inning the rest of the way. So they end up holding on 10-6 over Bradley. I just kind of think they're trying to figure out what they have to work with bullpen wise pitching. If you remember when we talked to Coach Vaughn, that was a point of emphasis. He said last year he felt the bullpen, everybody was the same. Fastball, slider, same speed, same arm slot. So this year they made it a point of emphasis to bring in a lot of different guys with different arm slots, different pitch mixes. So I think it's going to be like a learning experiment, non-conference wise, in the pitching for Alabama before SEC play.
Yeah, they threw Tyler Fay in relief, which I didn't expect. I thought he'd be I thought he'd be their 3 based on our conversation with him, I think. Trying to see, I think they've left some stuff off their box score. So let me check that for just a minute. I'm going to check another copy because there was something I wanted to check. But anything else on that one?
I mean, I think they're going to be fine offensively, with LeBron paving the way. And then they're just searching for answers right now with the bullpen and just trying to figure that out. But positive start, year 2 under Coach Vaughn. So I think they'll be in the mix to win a lot of games this season.
Yeah, let's see. Jason Torres started at first for them, the Miami transfer. The outfield was kind of – I'm kind of watching their outfield because they had a couple of JUCO guys, Richie Bonamalo Jr. being one of those, got 2 hits. He put up big numbers at JUCO level last year. You don't ever quite know what that means. Some of these tear up weak pitching and it doesn't translate, but that's one I kind of had my eye on. I would have liked to see more out of their pitching. They did throw a lot of guys, which isn't super shocking. That was a staff that we said they've got 14 or 15 guys who've got some experience that can throw. You would have liked to see better out of Zane Adams yesterday. 3 runs, 4 innings, just 3 strikeouts. They think a lot of him, and we do too. So we'll see where that goes. All right, what's left? We've got Oklahoma 11, Lehigh 3. Kyson Witherspoon strikes out 9. 2 earned runs. They got 3 home runs. One was an inside the Parker by freshman shortstop Kyle Branch. Jackson Willits, I think, and Dayton Taki, the transfer JUCO first baseman, a homer there. So no shock. Oklahoma pretty good on the mound and getting some bang out of some new kids too.
Yeah, some of those new kids, Michael Catalano, true freshman pitcher, Chris, faced 6 batters and he struck out 4. So that's a good start for your debut. And then a JUCO transfer, Sam Christensen, he went 3 for 3. He had a double and a triple, so he certainly made his mark in his Sooner debut. But to me, it all starts with their pitching. Kyson Witherspoon, his stuff was electric yesterday. 90 pitches. He was up to 98, 99, pretty almost consistently in his outing, finished with 9 strikeouts, only walked 2. So For Oklahoma, it's the Twins, the Witherspoon twins. Like as far as they go, the Sooners, if they're dominant like Skip Johnson thinks they will be all season long, they're going to win a lot of games.
Last one, probably the biggest disappointment of the day. We know Missouri has got its hands full in the SEC, but they've done some good things out of the league the last couple of years. Getting 2 hits shut out by Penn State was not what we were hoping for Carrick Jackson. Brock Lucas, who's one of their better arms, struggled out of the bullpen. That's probably the low light of the day for the league.
Yeah, and I don't know. You wonder how much travel, if any, has an impact on this. But, I mean, they just weren't competitive in this game against Penn State. They only had 2 total hits. They struck out 13 times offensively when they were at the plate. And then pitching-wise for them, Ian Losey, that was a bright spot for them. 4 innings, 3 hits, 8 strikeouts, walked 1 on 71 pitches. If you're looking for something positive, if you're a Mizzou fan, it's Ian Losey just with his performance on the mound. But that's the good thing about baseball. You turn around and you have a new game the next day and many more to follow. So, again, they're playing in Puerto Rico, and there's some good teams playing in this tournament in Puerto Rico, so they'll get a chance to bounce back quickly.
Yeah, let's do medal stand in a minute. That's a thing that we do in basketball that we'll bring into baseball this year. That's the gold, silver, bronze. We do it for teams and players. Do you have a list prepared, or do you need me to stall for a minute? Because I can stall for a minute to give you some time.
You start. I know. I know one that we're gonna agree on. That's Belyeu with Auburn, right?
Yeah. I think there's 2 we're going to agree on, but I'm not going to bias yours. I want to just have you do yours on your own. So what I say doesn't influence you, but yeah. Okay. Games today. While I give Graham just a minute, we've got LSU. Let's see. We know who the games are today. By the way, if you're joining us live, we have talked about every one of the 16 teams already. So you can go back and catch it on replay and find what we said about your team. I guess highlights today, Arkansas, Washington State again. Let's see who changes opponents today because we got some teams playing in classics. Missouri and UConn today. Georgia and Wilmington today. Those are different opponents than Friday night. Ole Miss and Texas today. That's probably the headliner of the day. Again, SEC on SEC, but does not count in the conference standings. And Vandy, Nebraska, probably the next biggest game after Ole Miss and Texas today, in my estimation, because I think that's the only other meeting of 2 ranked teams. Okay, do you want me to go first, or would you like to go first?
It doesn't matter. I got my 3. I'm ready to go.
Well, then you give me your 3 because I've got to decide on a bronze or 2 here.
All right. First one, just touched on it. Belyeu at Auburn, just that story, just to be able to play, the same day that your mom passes away, but not only play, but also to hit a home run. If you haven't seen the video, it's all over social media. Watch it. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
Second one, Hunter Elliott and Ole Miss, just his first game back in 2 years, didn't pitch at all. A season ago, 2 years ago, only 2 starts. So he's healthy, working his way back. I thought that was a big positive, not only for him mentally, but just for Ole Miss, the team, and Ole Miss fans as well. And then I guess my third one, let's just go with the defending champs, Tennessee. They just kind of seems like they reloaded, especially with the new additions. Andrew Fisher, the home run, and then Liam Doyle, first start as a Tennessee ball, finishing with a career-high 11 strikeouts. So Tennessee, no slippage at all from the defending champs.
Yeah, I'm going to go gold medal player Cade Belyeu. What happened yesterday transcends the stat line. Again, prayers to his family. Silver, I'm going to go Hunter Elliott. It wasn't the most dominant start on paper, but they played a ranked team, and the significance of that, Hunter Elliott coming back and throwing 5 shutout innings. And I think bronze, and part of this is just going on who you played, because you had like a ton of pitching outings. We could go Liam Doyle. We could go Cade Anderson. We could go Gabe Gackle. I'm going to go Liam Peterson at Florida, striking out 11 over 5 scoreless. Air Force, year in and year out, is a pretty competitive club. Some of these other games were just total mismatches. So you could go a lot of places there, but that's where I'll go with the Bronze also because I thought it was significant. If Florida's going to be a national title contender, it's got to have Liam Peterson going at that level. So that was a big sign for the Gators. Gold, I'm going to go Ole Miss, most significant win of the season so far for the SEC, I think, especially considering how it happened. Silver, I'm going to go Arkansas, only team in the league that won 2 games yesterday. Kentucky split the doubleheader. And I think bronze, I'm going to go Vandy because Vandy won at Grand Canyon last night. Wasn't the most dominating performance, but not a lot of teams that we saw yesterday are going to a regional. Grand Canyon, I feel like, wins that league every year. Playing in their park. That's like that team that wins its conference and either gets a 3 or it's the 4 that you don't want to face. A lot of years they've got Nick York's brother, Zach, hit a home run for them last night. So I think I'm going to go gold, silver, bronze, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Vandy.
Yeah, all good. It's a good day for the league for sure yesterday.
Did I miss any storylines on today? Because, again, most of these are mismatches. Maybe just interested to see if Missouri can respond against UConn, which is a good program year in and year out. See if A&M brings the bats today after last night. Day 2 pitching is always interested when a lot of times you start to – especially if you end up an extra inning game, you start to run out of your better arms towards the end of the day too, and then Sunday can get interesting. But yeah, I think we'll watch a lot of stuff with interest today, Graham.
And Kentucky, like how do they respond after dropping game 2 of that doubleheader yesterday? That'll be one to keep an eye on.
Was that a scheduled doubleheader, or was that one where they bumped 2 games into? Okay, yeah. So we awoke in the Nashville area to thunderstorms at 4:30 in the morning, and it's rained a lot here lately.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right, I think that's it for today. We'll be back. We might try to do something late tonight. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. We'll coordinate schedules, but either way, we're going to wrap up Saturday and Sunday action from the SEC. Could be Monday morning. That's when we'll do power rankings too. We will figure it out. We'll let you know. Follow us on Twitter at 16 Southeastern. We'll try to put some announcements out there. Again, prayers to Cade Belyeu and his family in an awful situation. You guys out there, stay safe. We got more snow maybe coming our way here in the South this week. Which will really...
Way to end on a downer.
Yeah, I know. It's going to wreak havoc with baseball schedules, isn't it? I like snow. Snow's not a downer. Come on.
It is for baseball. Nobody wants
that's true.
Nobody wants to play baseball in the snow in the South.
But I get an excuse to grab the sleds and head out with the kids when it happens. So I'll take that.
Bring the icy hot.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. For Alfred Ezman, who's headed to Arlington or maybe there as we speak. Graham Doty, I'm Chris Lee. Thanks for watching our baseball coverage here at Southeastern 16.